Welcome to LumiClinics Podcast, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive. Today, we're tackling a topic that touches so many families, understanding and supporting children with ADHD. We've gathered just an incredible stack of sources for you, insights from medical orgs like CHADD and HealthyChildren.org, practical guides from ADDitude magazine and Nemours Kids Health, even some really fresh research from Ohio State and the CDC. Our mission here is to pull out the most practical, maybe even surprising, insights. The stuff that helps you shift perspective and gives you real strategies to help your child thrive. Think of it as your shortcut to getting really well informed.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating, really, when you look across all this material, is how much power parental approaches have. Yes, ADHD brings unique challenges, no doubt, but these strategies we're discussing, they can make a profound, measurable difference. We're going to connect the dots today, showing how things like diet, sleep, communication, things you might underestimate, are actually critical for managing ADHD effectively.
Okay, let's dive in then. Let's unpack this. When people think ADHD, usually it's inattention, hyperactivity, impulsivity, the big three. But these sources go much deeper, right, into how these actually show up day to day and, crucially, how you as parents can respond proactively, not just reactively.
That's exactly it. How do we shift from maybe constantly reacting to difficult behaviors to actively shaping the positive ones? And one of the most powerful tools that comes up again and again is positive reinforcement. It's about giving that immediate specific praise or feedback when you see a behavior you want more of. For kids with ADHD, this is especially key because their brains often respond more strongly to immediate rewards. It helps shape behavior very effectively.
That sounds great in theory, but I can imagine it's tough to stay that positive all the time, especially on challenging days. Do the sources offer tips for parents on, keeping it up? Or what if the child doesn't seem to respond to praise?
That's a really practical point. The material doesn't focus heavily on parent self-care for praise, but it does stress varying your praise. So instead of just, good job, mix it up, thank you, good work, I really liked how you focused on that. It keeps it fresh, more meaningful. And remember, it's about consistency, not perfection. But beyond praise, it's really about how you communicate overall. Adapting your style is fundamental. The goal is always making sure your child actually hears and understands you without getting overwhelmed or constantly interrupted. Always pause to get their attention first. Say their name, make eye contact, maybe even have them repeat back what you said just to be sure it landed. This isn't just for instructions, it helps in any conversation to cut through that potential attention difficulty.
Makes sense. Address the attention directly. What about interrupting, if that's a common issue?
Yeah, if interruptions are frequent, try keeping your own sentences shorter, more concise. Gets the point across before they lose focus or jump in. And sometimes, a gentle touch on the arm or hand can really help refocus wandering attention without being disruptive. Interestingly, some parents find conversations flow better during a shared activity, like doing dishes or walking. Less pressure than a face-to-face talk.
Oh, that's a great tip. Integrate it naturally.
Yeah.
And for the really important stuff you need them to remember, given potential working memory challenges.
Write it down. That's a big one. Or, even better, get your child to write it down simply. It creates an external memory aid, which is so helpful. Also, using consistent family words for things like consequences or rewards. It builds understanding. And those when-then statements are golden. When you finish your homework, then you can play baseball. It creates predictability, clarity, reduces arguments.
That clarity seems so important, but do those when-then things ever feel too transactional, or do they stay useful as kids get older?
That's a fair question. The research mainly highlights their power for establishing routines and reducing those initial power struggles, especially with younger kids. As they mature, the focus naturally shifts more towards building internal self-regulation. So when-then might still be a tool, but it becomes part of a bigger picture, teaching, planning, problem-solving. Less transactional, more about empowerment over time.
Okay, now let's get into some of those everyday battles. Homework, diet, these can feel relentless for parents.
They really can, but these are areas where small, targeted adjustments can make a huge difference for kids with ADHD. Homework first.
Yeah, let's tackle homework.
Okay, good habits are key, so create a specific homework spot. Organized, minimal distractions. Could be the kitchen table, a desk, even a mat on the floor. The important thing is it's consistent, and maybe where an adult is nearby, but distractions are low. And get your child involved in setting it up. That ownership helps. Make sure all the supplies are right there, extra pens, folders, maybe color-coded. Some families use a portable homework station basket, which offers flexibility if the child needs to move. Critically, minimize TV, pets, other siblings during that time. Timers are great too. Set it for work time, then a short break, maybe 5–10 minutes. Shorter focus bursts often work better. And experiment. Some kids need quiet, others do better with background noise or instrumental music. Some need to stand or fidget. Find what fits your child.
Right, tailoring it is key. These organization strategies are so vital because those executive function skills, planning, organizing, staying on task, are often exactly where kids with ADHD need the most support.
Yeah.
It's not laziness, it's brain wiring.
I mean,
And organizing the actual assignments. Papers everywhere.
teach them the planner habit early. Write down assignments. Use folders, one for math, one for reading, one for needs parent signature. Help them organize their backpack too, so they learn that independence. For big projects, break it down on a calendar. Smaller steps feel less overwhelming, and tackle that difficulty with starting tasks.
Makes sense. Okay, what about diet? We hear eat healthy all the time, but how specifically does it connect to ADHD symptoms according to these sources?
It plays a bigger role than many might think. One study we looked at showed kids eating more fruits and vegetables had less severe inattention symptoms. That's pretty direct. And another study, the MEDI-DY study, found a specific multivitamin and mineral supplement led to significant improvements in both ADHD symptoms and emotional regulation. It suggests nutrient levels might really matter. And building on that, there's a really important link to food insecurity. The same study showed kids from families with less reliable access to food often had more severe emotional dysregulation and ADHD symptoms. I mean, think about it. Anyone gets irritable when they're hungry, right? That hangry feeling. For a child with ADHD whose regulation might already be taxed, it's intensified. So now, clinicians are being urged to ask about food security when assessing symptoms, because not having enough food or enough healthy food can definitely make things harder.
Wow, that connection is powerful. Okay, here's another big one, sleep. Often a challenge anyway. But for kids with ADHD, you mentioned it can be a vicious cycle. Getting kids to sleep sometimes feels like a battle.
It absolutely can be. That's right. The ADHD brain can be more sensitive to stimuli, racing thoughts, sounds, the lure of screens. It's often linked to how neurotransmitters work, making it harder to just switch off. And then, like you said, the cycle kicks in. Poor sleep makes inattention, impulsivity, opposition worse the next day, which then makes settling down the next night even harder. We have to break that pattern. First step, talk to your child's doctor about medications. Stimulants can affect sleep. Some worsen it, but some might actually help regulate things. Worth discussing. Beyond meds, sleep hygiene is non-negotiable. Consistent bedtime and wake-up time. For school-age kids, maybe aim for a 7:30 p.m. bedtime to get those 10–12 hours they need. Create positive bedtime rituals. Reading, singing, talking quietly about the day, something predictable and calming.
And screens. The elephant in the bedroom for many families, especially with teens.
Huge factor. That blue light genuinely suppresses melatonin production, the sleep hormone. Teens need 8–10 hours, so maybe a 9 p.m. bedtime means screens off an hour before that. No texting, no social media, no games. And crucially, parents need to model this. If you're scrolling in bed, it's hard to enforce the rule. Finally, if you're doing all this hygiene stuff consistently and sleep is still a major problem, or your child seems exhausted despite decent hours, consider getting them checked for underlying issues. Sleep apnea, restless legs, things like that need specific treatment. Don't hesitate to seek specialist help.
Okay, moving into another really tough area, meltdowns. They can be so incredibly challenging, just draining for everyone involved. What insights did the sources offer on managing these moments?
The big shift in perspective here is seeing meltdowns as a symptom of ADHD, not simply bad behavior. Kids with ADHD often have trouble regulating emotions because of that hyperactivity, impulsivity, maybe difficulty processing things. So intense feelings can come out as anger or defiance because their self-control is just overwhelmed. Recognizing it as a symptom, not intentional defiance, is the first critical step for parents. Then become a detective. Notice the warning signs, irritability, frustration building up. If meltdowns are really frequent, aggressive, or hard to de-escalate, definitely talk to your doctor. And try to pinpoint triggers. Is it hunger, tiredness, being overwhelmed, feeling unheard, a bunch of small frustrations piling up? Understanding triggers lets you try to prevent the meltdown in the first place.
So prevention and understanding are key. But what about when you're in the meltdown, right in the thick of it?
Yeah, during the storm, parental support is vital. Stay calm yourself. Easier said than done, I know. Practice patience. Remind yourself it's not deliberate. Validate their feeling, even if the behavior isn't okay. I see you're really angry right now. Or, I know it's hard to stop playing when you're having fun. The goal then is just to de-escalate. Save the problem-solving or consequences talk for later when everyone is calm. And then, proactively, you build those regulation skills. Practice deep breathing, counting, using stress balls when things are calm. Some sources mention biofeedback games like Mightier that help kids literally see how their body reacts to stress and learn to control it. The idea is to build the skills in peacetime so they're available during conflict.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, another complex situation. Divorce. Co-parenting a child with ADHD must add significant challenges, especially around that need for consistency we keep mentioning.
Oh, absolutely. Consistency is paramount, and divorce inherently disrupts that. Children with ADHD already struggle with executive functions planning, organization, transitions, frequent switching between homes, different rules, different routines. It can seriously heighten those struggles. You might see behavior slide backwards, more defiance, skills lost. Unpredictability is just really hard on their system. So making it work requires real effort. Both homes should aim for similar schedules: routines, snack time, homework, bedtime, and ideally, the same rules and reward systems. Predictability is the anchor they need. An interesting point raised was about midweek transitions. For some neurodivergent kids, switching homes mid-school week can be incredibly disruptive. The suggestion was, for younger kids especially, maybe consider longer stretches in one home during the school week, but ensure frequent contact, like dinners, with the other parent. Prioritize stability until they're older and can manage transitions better.
That's a really significant insight, potentially running counter to some standard co-parenting schedules. Prioritizing that stability, what else helps smooth those transitions?
Rituals are powerful. A specific song in the car, a book read at handover, a special activity, something predictable that signals the shift calmly. Shared visual calendars are great too. Pictures showing whose house they're at each day helps them visualize the week, reducing anxiety about the unknown. Then there are logistics. Medication. Does it travel? Is there a supply at both houses? Ensure continuity, that's critical. And communication between co-parents is non-negotiable. Copy each other on emails to school, doctors, therapists. Keep each other in the loop. An informed co-parent benefits the child, period. Lastly, if divorce is on the horizon, consider working with a mediator therapist, not just lawyers, to build a really detailed parenting plan, covering homework approaches, introducing new partners, extracurriculars. It can prevent years of conflict down the road. Even post-divorce, creating one can help.
Wow, that's a lot to manage, but clearly vital. So zooming out, what does all this mean for you, the parent? It really sounds like your role is absolutely central here.
It truly is. The evidence is clear. Parent training and behavior management is considered the gold standard treatment, especially for younger kids with ADHD. It's actually recommended before medication for kids under 6. Why? Because young children simply aren't mature enough to change their behavior significantly without consistent parental guidance and environmental structure. So, if you're looking for therapy, find someone who focuses on training parents, teaching you positive reinforcement, how to create structure, how to use discipline consistently and effectively. They should give you things to practice at home, track progress, and adjust the plan as needed. Expect maybe 8 or more sessions, sometimes in groups, with practice in between. You're the one implementing these strategies daily.
Okay, so specific parent training is key. But beyond that, the sources seem to paint a picture of a more holistic, deeply involved approach to parenting a child with ADHD.
Exactly. It's about being really engaged and understanding your child's unique experience. First, get involved, learn everything you can. Follow through on recommended treatments, whether it's therapy or medication management. Then, really know your child. How does ADHD affect them specifically? Where do they need help with attention or impulsivity or hyperactivity? Ask the therapist for tailored tips. And focus. Pick one behavior to work on at a time. Praise effort, specifically. I saw how hard you worked on that math problem. Collaborate closely with the school. Ask about IEPs or 504 plans. Those are formal plans for school support. Meet with teachers regularly. Find your tribe. Connect with organizations like CHADD for resources and community. You're not alone. And an important point that came up, consider if you, the parent, might have ADHD too. It often runs in families. Getting diagnosed and treated yourself can actually make you a more effective parent by helping your consistency and regulation.
That's a really powerful point about parental self-awareness. And what about discipline, especially knowing these kids can be sensitive to criticism?
Yeah.
And just the overall emotional connection.
Discipline needs purpose and warmth. It's not just about punishment, it's about teaching. Learn effective methods, but always be mindful of their potential sensitivity. Focus on encouragement, supportive correction. Set clear expectations before you go into a situation. Tell them what you want them to do, not just what not to do. Helps them succeed. Talk openly about ADHD. Help them understand it's not their fault, it's how their brain works, and they can learn strategies to manage it. Takes away shame. Carve out special time. Even just a few minutes daily of focused, positive attention. Play a game. Read a story. Just connect and notice the good things. Complement positive behavior specifically but naturally, and maybe most importantly, protect their self-esteem. Kids with ADHD get a lot of negative feedback. They often feel like they're messing up or letting people down. Be patient. Be understanding. Be accepting. Show them you believe in them. See their strengths, not just the challenges. That strong, loving relationship is the foundation for building resilience. Let them know you're on their team.
This has been incredibly insightful. It really underscores that parenting a child with ADHD isn't about finding a magic bullet, is it? It's about this consistent, informed, empathetic journey. A path of learning and adapting, really, for both the parent and the child.
Absolutely. And if we connect that to the bigger picture, it's so clear that your active, informed role as a parent using these evidence-based strategies is probably the single most critical factor. It's what transforms those challenges into genuine opportunities for your child's growth, for building their resilience and helping them truly thrive now and long into the future.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive on the LumiClinics podcast.
Yes, thank you. And if you found this helpful, please stay tuned. There's definitely much more to come.
You can always learn more about our services and explore resources at lumiclinics.org. That's LUMICLINIZS.org.
Until next time, take care, and we'll see you